What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Ask Mike Anything. And I'm excited about this one because we have taken a different approach to collecting questions. So we're going to attempt to do this. We've never actually done this live before. Mia's freaking out. Nate's excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but we actually reached out to the people who submitted questions, asked them to send in a voice recording of those questions so that we can play them live on the air. Like they're calling in like this is like 1998 sports radio. Nate, how are you, bud?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
I'm interested to see how this goes.
This is going to be fun. It's new territory. It took 90% of my job away. Automation, AI. I'm getting crushed over here. So let's see.
I mean, you're welcome. Well, but now we get more context. Now we have more of a conversation because I think several of these questions were unpacked a little bit further via the voice note, which I think gives us some more context to be able to have more of a conversation by. But we'll see. I mean, look, if you're just incredibly insecure about the fact that I'm slowly phasing you out of Ask Mike Anything, I mean, like, we can always give it back to you at some point.
I've got nothing loose here. So
all right, Nate, hit me with a dad joke.
Hey, Mike, why can't you give Elsa a balloon? The
Why
Frozen
can't you
character.
give Elsa a balloon? All I can think of is freeze pop. Mia's over here like, you should know this. I'm like, no, I shouldn't. Why can't you give Elsa a balloon? Mia's laughing so hard. What is it?
Does Mia got it?
What do you think it is? Because she'll let it go?
Because she'll let it go.
Oh,
man.
the song. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that song and had to absolutely remove it from my memory bank because for like an entire 18 months, it's all you heard.
Correct. That's why I thought you'd get
Freeze
that one.
Pop. Some of my answers I think are better. They're funnier. I'm an idiot. All right. Well, Nate, we have our first question that we are going to attempt to play now. And let's see how this goes.
I'm ready.
Hey, Mike, this is Pete Johnson with Valence Supply down in Dallas, Texas. Thanks for having me on. So my question is, we own and operate a decorative concrete-related business. Pretty much if it's anything to do with concrete, we can have a chemical for it in some way, shape, or form. We have one brick and mortar location, but my question is, what is the best way to start and grow this business as an e-com platform? Looking to drive more traffic to a website, have people place orders online for customer pickups or shipping. So please let me know what you think is the best way to grow an e-commerce business for a home service business based on concrete or decorative concrete related products. Thanks, and I look forward to hearing the answer.
So my opinion on this, I've seen a couple different brands and products try to go this route to be able to get a more systematic approach. In my opinion, to start, like, I think a lot of people, like, they think about the website and pay-per-click and Google ads, and that stuff can get really expensive really quickly. So my approach or my thought on this would be, try to train your existing client base to do e-commerce first. Prove the process, prove the client journey, prove that people are willing to do it, right? Because you have an existing client right now that has to drive to your store to pick stuff up. Can you get them to order online and ship to them even locally? Or even better, e-commerce order for pickup could be a good next step just to prove that it works, right? Because I think, so what it sounds like he has is some, containers of material that are utilized for decorative concrete staining and aging and that kind of stuff, right? Acid wash stuff, probably. And so some of those things might have different shipping limitations because of the chemicals in them. So I'm not sure what that looks like. That's outside my scope of expertise. But if you can't get the existing people who trust you to do it, at least at some rate of success, I don't know if pushing it on a larger scale would work, because ultimately you have to solve a problem that is not being solved currently. So if I'm gonna go one step further, then I'm really interested to hear what you have to say, Nate, because like you've kind of been in this space, for a while and on the coffee side. My thought would be, if that were to grow or work with your existing client base, do more like proactive inventory selling. Call a contractor. How much do you need in inventory? Let's keep your inventory full, as opposed to reactions. Like most contractors aren't planning enough in advance to wait for you to ship it. Right. They're used to like having a project today, going to the store this morning, going back at lunch, going back again at 2 o'clock because they kept forgetting what they need throughout the day. Right. So, if you can get a situation where you have a common product that is utilized on you can do some bulk, maybe even wholesale pricing to get them to purchase in larger quantities. And then you're basically just backfilling their inventory as they utilize it, might be a better option, because I just don't think contractors in general are planning far enough in advance to wait for you to ship something. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Nate, what do you think?
And there's a lot to unpack there, with the shipping limitations and things like that with chemicals, who his target client is this just mostly the contractors, or does he have a lot of DIYers and, that are looking to purchase stuff like that? So I think there's a whole market of DIYers for concrete etching, concrete stains, things like that. So, now something that would be easy for him to do that's time intensive would be, building those how-tos, how to use these products, product reviews, the content behind everything. So that organic marketing funnel through YouTube or whatever, and get his existing client base on board with, e-commerce distribution. So I think that's a good starting point. And then after that, once he's got proof of concept and knows who he's targeting, then it's really the way to grow that kind of business in the e-commerce space is pay-per-click. I mean, that's what you're going to have to do in specific markets, targeting specific people that fit the buyer persona that you're looking for, whether it's DIY or contractor. That's two client types that you're targeting. And so I think there's a lot to unpack there and fill out here early. But in the meantime, he can definitely be building content to drive organic reach to like a basic Shopify store or something like that. So like he could get up and running pretty easy right now and be testing the waters.
And I'd go back even further, like, and zoom out even further and say, is anybody in the country at any level shipping the products that you sell, like on an individual basis? Like, I mean, obviously the products get shipped to him, so obviously they can be shipped, right? He's not fabricating it on site. But is there somebody else that's doing it? And that, even if somebody is, that doesn't mean you shouldn't, but like go, steal like an artist, like if something's working or a certain layout's working or a certain, percentage of the product base that you have is working well, e-commerce, like go do that first. But I think so many people, Nate, and I think I'm interested in your opinion on this, they like spend all the money, all the time to build it out perfectly before even getting one customer to try it. Like I think it's incredibly important to like get a test run on this with an existing client base that already trusts you, in order to prove the concept that like you can build a Shopify account. They're willing to order even for pickup, ordering ahead so that it's ready when they get there or whatever.
Yep.
But people spend so much time, energy, effort, and finances to build it perfectly before launch. And I think there's just so much unknown that's gained by taking the action.
Yeah, no, he needs, I mean, you could drive like a landing page sign up and get a mailing list built out for people interested in it before you launch. Like there's all kinds of like lower cost pilot opportunities to build a customer database or proof of concept, or even get the existing client base ordering from a web portal that he could set up really cheap, some low barrier of entry. It's definitely not run full speed ahead and go invest thousands of dollars into pay-per-click advertising when you don't have a business. Like,
Yeah. Not
I'm
modeled
just
for
now
that.
launching pay-per-click for my construction company after 8 or 9 years.
Yeah. No, but I think also like target locally, make it simpler, keep the shipping costs down, keep it, quicker turnaround on ship to arrival. Like I would not go from one brick and mortar location to a national e-commerce approach. I would definitely try to stick to local, regional, even, to just make sure that like you can get people the product. Because that's what will kill an e-commerce, specifically in a situation where contractors can't wait 5 days to get a product like that they're used to going and picking up off the shelf typically. So a lot to unpack there, but I would do a lot more due diligence before running after it.
And for sure, I agree.
Cool.
And I don't know if there's like DIYers purchasing retail and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to understand like what is the competitive advantage versus the local Home Depot or Lowe's if you're on the DIY
Because if
side.
it's wholesale, like if it's inventory for a guy like a contracting firm that does this a lot, why are they buying from him and not the manufacturer by the pallet anyways? So like,
yeah, there's a lot of questions. I mean, I'm sure there's good answers too.
of course.
We got to solve some problems more specifically there. All right, cool. All right, next question.
Hey, Mike, it's Amanda Kemmel with Aviva Media. And my question for you today is, what is your number one motivation tip when you feel totally stuck?
I mean, that's one of those ones that's define stuck, right? Like define what the issue is, define what are you not motivated to do. You know, there's a lot of variables to this. You know, I know Amanda somewhat well from a couple of years ago, and like typically I want to, if I'm looking at Amanda specifically, so man, if you're listening to this, my immediate response would be stop overthinking it. Like I think a lot of times action and motivation and discipline to do the work is minimized when you're overthinking it and there's too many variables and too much going on. But if we look at it in general, like if we're looking at building your championship life or your championship day, like when you're just not motivated to try harder, you have to be able to look at your mission, and your mission has to be important enough to you for you to go do the work that you're not doing. This happens in sales, happens in prospecting, happens in production management, happens in hiring, content creation. There's always something that you just don't want to do, right? I think Nate will agree with this as well. Mm-hmm. And if your mission statement, if the reason that you're doing any of the things you're doing is not enough to get you disciplined back in, because you're not always going to want to be motivated. You're not always going to want to do it. You've heard this probably 100 times. You know, Jocko talks about it a lot. Discipline equals freedom. You know, it's about the discipline to do the work no matter how you feel. And typically, in my opinion, the number one thing that I would say that drives that discipline and action when you don't feel like it is the importance of the mission that you're on and your desire to want to see that outcome in place. So if you can read your mission statement right now and you're like, it's okay, it's not doing its job. You know, it's just not like you're not, you're clearly not tied to it. So, you know, I don't know, Nate, I mean, what do you think? Discipline is the answer, but like, how do you get realigned with taking aggressive action when you're just not feeling like it?
I mean, I think, you know, discipline in the little things. So the morning routine, that's a big one. You know, just sticking to that. I'm pretty good at just staying disciplined day in, day out, even when I don't want to. But I think finding that external motivator is going to be important for a lot of people, like that vision, where they're going. You know, I would challenge them, like maybe the mission and vision is just not large enough to get them up going on these things. Like maybe they're not thinking big enough. So, you know, when I get in these funks, I really dig down, journal out, think about why, you know, what's my mission? Where am I going? Where am I trying to take my family and things like that to really like realign myself and what I'm doing. So get my focus back and then just take that next action, the next one. Let me just do the next one right now because I'm in a funk. Let me get in the sauna for 30 minutes this morning. And then tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym and get in the sauna. Mm-hmm. And just keep like habit stacking back, you know, the next right action.
I mean, it's building the winning streak. Yeah. And then like, but this is where I think people really struggle is they either are not willing to, or just don't define what the win, right? Like your win was getting the sauna. Some people might not view that as a win, but like you weren't getting in a sauna 6 months ago every day, right? So it's like, correct. You define a win and then you execute that win and then you stack wins. And then that momentum, mm-hmm. you know, tends to like kickstart the discipline and motivation. So I think those are good.
Yeah. So win stacking.
Yeah. You got to stack. You got to get the winning streak going. That's a big one. But I think she said, what's the one thing? And the one thing I would say is have a clearly defined mission for your life mm-hmm. or business that gets you out of bed when you don't want to be. Because if it's not that powerful, it's not doing its job.
I agree.
All right, third question. I think we did not get an audio for. You got that one, Nate? See, I'm keeping you somewhat involved.
I'm ready.
Okay,
Nick
let's go.
Bidinger asks, what's your biggest target you want to hit by the end of the year, personal or business?
So, I mean, the biggest is kind of relative to us, right? But I have a target to pay off $500,000 in debt this year. 2023 is a huge debt reduction year in between the house purchase, the pool, things in the business. Both. We accrued some debt both personally and professionally in 2022, and I could be putting $500,000 into investments, but like me personally, what helps me sleep at night and like my approach to money is debt reduction as opposed to investing. And like there's two sides of that coin. I've had people tell me I'm an idiot, and that's cool. You don't have to sleep in my head. I have to sleep in my head.
Right.
And in taking that $500,000 and putting into investments right now and maintaining the same level of debt, as much as that might make sense to some, it doesn't make sense to me. And so, I have a long journey. Like my goal is to be 100% out of debt by 40. I'm 36 right now. And it's an attainable target. If I'm completely out of debt by 40, my opinion is it'll completely open up my options on good debt acquisition in the second half of my adult life, right? When you don't have debt, people are willing to give you more money. It's like, you want money, go ask for it when you don't need it, right? That's the best time to ask for money is when you don't need it. And so my plan is, I think the biggest target for me this year, I would say it's a blend of both. It's not one side or the other, but I have a target to pay off $500,000, and we are beginning of March, and don't quote me on this, but I think we're around like 125 grand year to date so far. So we're like right at, we should be right at pace to hit the 500,000 by end of the year. So
that's pace.
No, just being intentional, being disciplined with the action, and still giving ourselves enough, some leeway to still enjoy the lifestyle, but heavy debt reduction is my target for the year, or we'll say the biggest target. What about you? What do you got? I know you got some big things going on.
Man, it's been all over the place with a lot of adjustments, since we've had a kid and just having to be flexible in this season, so a big goal for me this year is to stockpile $500,000 in cash while I'm doing my debt reduction plan as well. Not $500,000 worth, but the goal is to set it up so that in 2024, I have options to buy whatever kind of house I want, our dream home, wherever that's at, a lot of things in the air right now on what our next big move is. But right now, I'm just going to stay the course on the mission to reduce debt and stockpile cash so that we have flexible options. So, that's a big one for me right now as well.
No, I like it. Well, it's something that can be measured. It's something that you can, chip away at all year. And it's something if you monitor consistently like you're supposed to, like you'll catch yourself slipping on certain weeks or months, as opposed to like, oh, it's November, I guess we're not hitting that target. I see so many times people like have these, targets they don't look at, and there's no way to measure am I pacing correctly or not. So, no, I like it. I can't wait to see what this next move for you, Nate, this next house. I can't wait to be talking about that in the next year or so. It's going to be exciting for sure. No, it's going to be really cool to watch you and Lydia and Harvey kind of take this next step in your journey in life. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just getting started. Like this is the beginning.
It really,
water. Yeah.
It's so hard. I mean, if you don't look at today as day one of the rest of your life, like you're kind of always just getting started on the mission because you learn new shit every day.
Yeah.
And ultimately you're just never done. So the mission will continue whether you're intentional with it or focused on or excited about it or not. But no, cool. Like let's earmark this episode 33, and we'll check in at the end of the year and see if we accomplished our targets or not. That'd be cool. Cool little check-in at the end of the year. But Nate, thank you so much. I appreciate you talking through these. I think this is fun. We'll give this a couple episodes, see how we like it. And hopefully you guys do as well. It creates just some additional dynamic to the conversation. But you guys keep asking the questions and I'll keep answering them so that you can win fast and win often.